people, it was pride.
Right.
But we was getting all, we had milk,
Right.
we had everything we,
Right.
for the kids to eat, because when they're at school, the school feeds them. So the school was, subject to say, look, we're gonna make sure they still eat.
Wow.
So you gotta capitalize on it, but sometimes seeing people who need it the most were the ones who saying, I'm not gonna go out there and eat that. I'm not gonna walk to that bus and get that handout.
That's great. Give the schools a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, that was tremendous though, right? I mean, like, why not take advantage of that opportunity? Like, what did they say, Carlos, in sports? What did they say? Recreate the atmosphere where you playing it, you know what I'm saying? Yep, go get your lunch in school.
Yeah.
There it is.
I want to ask y'all something.
Yeah.
Of course, we need to help people as much as we can, but do you think to a certain extent that we may, I guess, spoil people or make them too reliant on the government when we give them these stimulus checks? Of course, I definitely believe that we should help them out, but it was like kind of like a double-edged sword when we were helping them out, but some people may have used the money for the wrong reasons, or they didn't want to go to work because of what we were saying. They made more sitting out, just staying out, so just getting that big chunk of money, and they just like, well, I'm making more, not just sitting at home than I am working. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Do you think to a certain extent that we do kind of hurt ourselves, or the government hurt ourselves when we, give them this money?
I think the assistance was definitely needed. Like, I feel like everyone, even if, like, because I like to be fair, and, even if the rich needed some help, give them some money. I mean, they stimulate the economy, just as like you would give the middle class and lower class people money, give them money. Everyone should have got some type of compensation during this pandemic as a surety from the government to say to the people, hey, we got your back if something goes wrong. Now, the amount that people got, that was kind of controversial. Like, what is that going to do? But in your question, what you're saying, it enabled them. I feel like it did make a lot of people comfortable. That may be a good thing during the pandemic, right? That may, ease. When you're not worried about money, you're not as stressed out as much, and potential reactions are decreased based off just the less stress level provided by people. You know what I'm saying? So you saw when people when we first heard about that money, we counted it out. We already had it in our pocket. It was spent. It was spent. It was spent. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, that made people happy during this time. You know what I'm saying? People forgot all about the COVID. Where's my money?
Yeah. It's kind of like two-part with that.
Yeah.
One part was if you cut out the money, you take that away, people are hungry. You ever heard of Maslow hierarchy of needs? You ever heard of Maslow hierarchy of needs? What you have there is at the very bottom of the essential needs list is safety and security. So when you take that money away from people who don't have it, and then you close down the stores where they can't get food, so you're going to have chaos on your hand. Now you're going to have people breaking in people's houses because at the end of the day, you're going to eat. You got to. So the stimulus was the government's way of saying, hey, look, we're going to have to do this because if you don't, you're going to have, on top of a pandemic, you're going to have a war. Because
I guess my question is, how can other countries who are not as wealthy as us, as the United States, just allegedly, they're paying their folks $2,000 to $3,000 a month to stay home in order to combat the pandemic. And then my question is, well, whose money is it? Taxpayer dollars? Isn't it our money? Yeah. So it's not, the government is us, right? So are we talking about, we're not talking about some external entity. We all pay taxes.
Right.
So I want my money back to help me during this period. And then when we're back to normal, I have no issues paying my taxes and getting back into the regular thing. But it's a pandemic, what I mean? We don't have anything to compare it with in our lifetime.
Right.
So you gotta go all the way back to 1918, right? Yeah. And that was World War I going on. So I'm like, give everybody the money that they need to survive. And if we appreciate the fact that people are adults and make their choices, then I'm not gonna tell TJ what to do with his $1,400. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with yours. Now I can advise you. We can give you the pointers and the tips and say, look, option A might be better for you than option B. But it's gonna be those individual decisions,
Mhm.
right? So that's how I see it.
You know, the only people that I feel bad for that didn't really get the stimulus the first 2 times were felons. And it's like guys, like, come on, like, they're still human beings. You know, that money should have been spread around a lot of places. And like you said, you know, some countries are getting back $2,000 to $3,000. You know, yeah, well, of course. You know what I'm saying? There were talks about trying to do that. You know what I'm saying? And, people just couldn't, you know, come together in the position to make this deal happen. So, you know, sometimes deals fall through. They fall through. And luckily we got something out of it, right? You know what I'm saying? Luckily somebody was able to pay their rent. There should be another $1,400, right? Let's do that. Then let's try to get them another one. Let's keep them. Let's
Well,
keep
they're
the check
talking
running.
about raising the tax credits for, by children.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit of money.
What was it, 3,600?
I thought 3,600.
Yeah, I saw that.
And think
Per
about it,
child, right?
yeah, and think about it, I was always taught, you can take all the money in the world, put it in a pile, and pass it out equally to everybody. And you know who's gonna get it back? The people that got the money in the first place, because, you know, it's like you got two types of people. You got renters and owners, and you got buyers and sellers. The buyers are gonna spend, and the sellers are gonna capitalize on them spending.
Yeah.
So when the government did push out that money, it went right back into the hands of
Yeah.
Amazon, and Amazon not on their own, they sell for other people. They just get a percentage out of what they sell.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of their products are independent sellers. So
Different stores.
so you can put all the money, you know, like I said, you can put it all in a pile. If you got those spending habits where some people, that money was gone before it touched their hand, and you got some people who haven't touched it or invested it, you know, it's just, who are you? You know, what do you want to be? You want to be a seller or a buyer? Which you got to have both. Ain't nothing wrong with if you're a buyer. Ain't nothing wrong with you a seller. But
Well, you know, Stacey, you probably feel this too. You know, we're not taught in school at an early age to be like savers or anything like that. You know, nobody's telling us, put 10% of your money away for a rainy day or put this percentage away. They're just not having those conversations. And I know black folks don't talk about money half the time. It's like a taboo topic, and I don't know why. I think we're getting better, maybe generation from generation. But the older generation, you didn't dare ask somebody how much they made on their job. It was like, none of your business, get out of here.
you was taught from a young age not to do that.
Right,
And
right.
I can honestly say that you're right. Like, coming out of school, they don't teach you any type of financial education, literacy, anything. Like, me personally, I thought as long as I didn't get any credit cards, anything in my name, pay for it, cash, and, I don't have to worry about debt. And then I realized I have no credit. So then I realized it was just, I was in the same ball. And no one taught me that. I just went to college and I didn't take business classes. So, those things weren't just direct towards me. And I think they need to teach that early on in high school before you become an 18-year-old adult, because that's when they're going to start sending credit cards in the mail, offers, and all of those things. So why not teach it to them at an early age? Because some people think
I would go all the way to maybe fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade,
Yeah.
We learn how to write checks.
Yeah, we learned how to write checks in sixth grade. That's how you did, yeah.
You start getting money and allowance and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and if we're
That was
teaching
the
our
Sims?
kids then.
Then when the Sims was writing checks at Sims,
Before that, they taught us how to write checks in elementary.
Yeah.
hey, we
And
need
then
that curriculum.
they're paying after the checks, though. They're paying the debit card. So you know what happens with a debit card? You swipe, and
I'll
don't
do it.
keep up.
I'll do it.
So that says a lot.
And I remember people saying, well, I thought I had this much money, that's why I wrote a check. I'm like, you didn't balance your book? How did you not know you didn't have that money in there? You're like, who is that? To me, you probably
Grab a cell phone, so you just take like,
Online banking.
I'm like, even with that, you go out and people go by the ATM when they first come out, they say, oh, they still saying I got $400. And what the banks were doing, they was actually holding checks to show that you still had that balance.
Right.
Until when you finally went out and said, oh, you right by ATM, check your balance and say you have $350 in your checking account, but you don't roll over $200 worth
Yeah.
checks, but it's not showing, so you go spend. So then the bank pulled it out, and then now you got $30 overdraft.
Boom.
You know, but the government stopped the bank from doing that. You know, they made it against the law, you can't do that anymore. Now, they were actually taking people who may have a $400 in their checking and may have $5,000 in their savings. You write a check at the grocery store and it bounces. They would just pull, instead of taking money out of your savings account to cover your check, they would loan you the money, which is your money anyway. They would loan you your own money and charge you $30. You know, and people was happy with it because they didn't end up going to the bank, you know, because the store could actually put a warrant out when you said you wrote them a bad check.
Right.
So you're like, well, you know, they used to arrest people if you wrote
They did.
checks and they bounced.
Right.
You know, so then they would put your picture up and say you write bad checks. So what they was doing, it was protecting you with an overdraft, borrowing your own money, and doing it. Just all kind of stuff that when it comes to finance.
We have C.G. Tucker. She said saving is no good unless you're making money off of it.
Well, she kind of right in a certain sense. I'll tell you about it. She kind of right because if you say, "Well, I'm saving," that money is actually being invested, but you're not part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I watched somebody one time invest. I mean, they got a settlement and they took like $40,000 to the bank.
Right.
Okay, in that $40,000, in 6 months they put in a CD, they may give them $36. Now, if they would have bought a piece of property
Yeah.
with that 40 grand,
Yeah.
they still had their 40 grand, but that property is finna turn into maybe, if you do some renovations there, that $40,000 property may be worth 70 or 80 in the future.
Right.
And plus, if you got your renter in there,
Right.
you getting
Yeah.
income off it.
Income.
So do
All
you
day.
think real estate, my real estate expert, is a good way to save money?
I believe that moving money, period, making money move is the best way to make money. Let me just be clear about what I say that. Money's supposed to be spent. That's money's number one job, to be spent, right? Even if you're saving it, it's getting spent somewhere. The number one way to get money too, guys, is to get it from other people. Other than that, it's coming out of an account that someone owns somewhere, some entity, right? Real estate is a great a great avenue to go and produce income for yourself, but you gotta have the money to get in there, you know, unless you're gonna buy a house and Airbnb it, you know what I'm saying? And then you can do that, you can get you a loan, go in there, live in there, and you be like, oh, I got a renter, I got somebody who wants to rent my place. But I guess I'll go to my mom's this weekend and I'll make this $700 this weekend because I live in this cool location. Or you don't even have to live in a cool location, you can live right here in Union County and have
Wait a
dope.
minute, did you say the union's not cool?
Thank you. Pardon me.
Union is cool.
Right, you can come to the great town of Union County where everything is everything. And you can find your Airbnb here. There's not any on Airbnb. I would love to go and just find some little cabin in the woods or something like that, you know.
There's a lot of opportunity in these towns.
Explain Airbnb for people who may not know.
Oh, for the people that don't know what the business Airbnb or Vrbo, that's the other one, right? They're businesses that allow homeowners or people that own real estate or residential property to lease that to consumers or renter, or how can you say tenants at the time, to make money. Like, it's just the same as a hotel. They just took you out of the hotel atmosphere and said, hey, do you really want to be in a hotel? And 9 times out of 10, I stay at hotels now that remind me of apartments now, if I do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that when you travel, you still want the home feel?
Because you're on vacation, you know, you don't want to go, you got a luxury house, you know, you took care of your house, then you go stay in some little $2 motel, you know, you're not comfortable.
Right. So Airbnb, go stay at somebody else's house that's homey. They may have a jacuzzi back there. They may have a blind cat. Nevertheless, you never know what you're gonna get, guys. So, but by the way,
C.G. Tucker says the way to generate wealth is owning properties.
by the way, hey mom. Hey mom, that's my mom. That's my mom. Yeah, I said one time. Check us out. Yeah.
Like and share, everybody like and share.
John.
Yeah,
I tell you-
like and share the show.
I tell you something that I did recently, no, I'm not an expert, but I just saw it was crazy because my friend was telling me about stocks, investing in stocks. And I invested back in September. I was just like, okay, I'm just put $50 in. So I put $50 in the stock, and you know, when this GameStop stuff started happening, I didn't have money invested in GameStop, but I had it in like an energy company. And the $50 I put in back in like September, I went back a few weeks ago and looked at it, and my money it went up to like $200.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm making money while I'm sleeping, like I'm not even working at all, and my money just went up. Like, what happened? So I looked at the stock and it went up. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert at it because I'm not at all. I'm still learning, figuring it out. But I'm like, there are people, you know, you may be able to get, but it's kind of tricky because at times you never know when it's gonna go up or when it's gonna go down. But one of the things I did was just paying attention to stocks now. You know, I was like, if I can make money while I'm not even working at all, then let me, you know, put some money into it. You know, of course, you're gonna take some hits from time to time, but I looked at it like, man,
What platforms did you use to recommend to anyone?
I use Robinhood.
Okay.
I have friends that use it. My brother, he uses it, and people were telling me about it. So I use Robinhood. I know another one is, I think, TD Ameritrade. One of my coworkers,
Right.
he uses that. But I use Robinhood, and it was crazy. Like if you get in, and I guess it just depends on what you want to invest in, like cannabis, energy companies, like I did. One of them I did. Your money just, you know, you just have to pay attention to it. It's not something that happens sudden, you know, it takes time, but if you invest in the right ones, then you can make some pretty good money out of it.
So like, okay, let's just think about it. What do, in our day and life, we all in this town should have Walmart stock. I mean, really and truly, I mean, really, Walmart is really, I mean, we are carrying a strong end, right?
Yeah.
Dollar General, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the
Now,
text.
that's something I've heard also. If it's something that you use on a daily basis, why not invest in, like I said, Walmart, Costco, people love Starbucks,
Yeah.
different things, something like that that's been around, Apple, Amazon,
Every
which
day you
Amazon
use that
stock is
phone.
pretty high, you know.
But when you do it, that's a great way, but a guaranteed way is when you can learn to buy yourself
Yeah.
and take what you got and turn it into something else.
Yes.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's
'Cause
satisfying.
I'm looking at like, if I get $200, I know what I can do with it, and before you know it, I got 500.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, and just so happened, my mentality changed. One way out, I did it in something that might have been illegal, but now it's ways that you can do it.
Yeah.
Like when this mask thing was going out, you said, look, I'm going to buy me some cloth. I'm going to spend $50, I'm going to sew me some masks, and then people are looking for them, and then you guarantee, you know,
Yep.
that's your money.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. That was it. That was fun.
the wealthiest people, they make their own things happen.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know,
Supply and demand, right?
yeah, you just got to find what it is that they're looking for, what they need,
Yep.
and then you could invest in a lawnmower and a weed eater.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know.
But that part of me not having to work it's a misconception.
Right.
Because, you know, I hear people say if I win the lottery, you know, I ain't never gonna work a day in my life. Well, you go tell that to Oprah Winfrey. You go tell that to Bill Gates. You go tell that to Tyler Perry.
They
You go
still
tell
work.
that to the man that owns Amazon. What's his name? Go tell that to the Facebook guy. That you gonna quit working. You can't quit work because you got money. You gonna be broke. You always gonna have to work. And if it sounds too good to be true, it is. I remember we all know when they was going with the pyramid scheme when they were saying like, you
Yeah,
give
I
me,
can do it.
you what was it? The little thing they had. You give
The
me
flower.
Little
the
flower.
flower. You give me this again.
I thought it was a wheel.
It
What was it?
was like a
was
flower,
a flower.
you put money in and then.
And you gonna get that back.
It's a pyramid. I know it's a pyramid scheme.
Pyramid.
That's why.
I don't remember that though, but people was throwing like $1,000 in there. Like,
Some
They got to
genius-
get their money back.
Some genius said, look, if I get you to think you gonna get something for nothing,
yeah.
and that's what ended up happening. And see, that's the mentality though. You're gonna have to,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to find something that you like doing, especially when you can find something you like doing,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and invest in that, and then turn that.
And speaking of that, like, for you personally, you invested in cutting hair, clippers, and you invested in renting a booth. And that became, that was an investment you put in yourself. That's, starting your own business type thing. That's something I've seen a lot of people doing during the pandemic, because some businesses you can't do right now because they're face to face. So I've seen a lot of people selling, clothing. I've seen a lot of people selling just different products online, because everybody's online now.
Yeah.
Everybody's at home, so they're online. They got time. If you're selling something, put it out there. But you really have to, put your all into it when you become an entrepreneur. You really can't go half at that. You really have to go at that hard. And I've seen, like Tamika said, I've seen some people have multiple revenues, incomes, and I'm like, okay, you got like 5 businesses, how are you holding it up? But, it may not take a lot to do those things.
Right.
It's just that the more you got coming in, the better. Instead of, putting your all into one thing, because look at this pandemic, people lost their jobs. They had no backup plan. If you have 3 or 4 backup plans, then you're gonna continue to have money coming in on top of that stimulus. So
What back to this? What would we have? Like, what do you think one of the best ideas you could have did with that stimulus right now? Like, let's just do a scenario. Let's say a single person got $600, and now they've accumulated. How many stimulus checks we have? 2, right? They've accumulated $1,200. With that $1,200, what could they have done to generate some more income out of it?
I tell you who I think had one of the best ideas, the union.
Yeah.
The one that's delivering the food. What is it? The
Like the DoorDash?
the hometown, or it's some type of service where.
We got a DoorDash service?
Yeah.
And union had none of that. And so if you have multiple elderly people, or people who have no cars, or nowhere to go around, and a lot of places closed down. So you have somebody who's willing to bring your food to you.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta think about it. You've been at home and you feel like you're not able to go drive because you've been doing something.
Right.
You can call them and say, hey, look, bring me some food.
Right.
That was a good
Or
idea.
if
Another
you
good
had
idea.
COVID.
Another good idea was Uber or something. You can call, but you're gonna have to work. It's not to the point where you think it's just gonna fall in your lap. It's not.
Right.
It's not. So back to your question. Let's say a person gets $1,200. Something like find a hobby that they like or something that you take that 12 and find something you like doing. Like if you cut grass or if you do flowers or if you want to be an Uber driver or something, you just build your web page. And around here, the taxi cabs are not here no more, but you still have people who need rides.
Yeah.
That little thing, you just gotta find the need. When you find the need,
I tell you what I would have done. I would have bought one of those cricket
Silhouette things, cricket?
Yeah, where you can basically cut the decals and all that stuff. So that's like $250. And basically buy some of the materials that you need, like make cups or whatever that little niche thing is that people will continue to purchase to advertise their business or whatever. That's probably what I would have did with it. Because you can have set up your Etsy shop for free, and then people are going to buy online. And there are people, my mom and I were on Home Shopping Network, and we were sitting there, I'm like, I can't believe people buy stuff off of here. And then we bought 2 things out there. So it's a demand out there.
Oh,
You just gotta figure out what, like TJ said, what is that little niche thing that you can do that doesn't take a lot, because you could do that in your house. Right?
That's the main thing, being able to do it at your house, because now your revenue's going
And that's a tax write-off now, if you have your business.
That's what I was about to tell you. That was my next point. I'm glad you brought it to me, but now you're in a whole different tax bracket. Because the same cell phone that you're gonna use, the same car that you're gonna drive, the same utilities that you're gonna use in your house, now they're tax write-offs. Now you're looking at a whole different thing. You could buy yourself a cell phone, your child a cell phone. All of that is now tax deductible. What I mean by that, now the same things that you're gonna use anyway. My phone is, of course, a business phone, but you don't think I talked to my mom, my wife off of it? Who don't own a cell phone? But the difference is, one of them's a business phone and it does the same thing your phone does, but one's classified as a business, and you can do anything. You can sell flowers and
Yeah.
have a business. You can make wreaths.
You know?
Like me, a good thing I did. And people are so much followers. If somebody starts selling wreaths,
Yeah.
or somebody sell cake, everybody, oh, I want that. You can
Mhm.
dip strawberries, and everybody feel like
I need
I got to be part of that too.
And can I just shout out the farmer's market in Union? It's every day, actually, I think except for Sunday. And people, you go there, you get your fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, it's seasonal as well, but people are also starting to go and sell arts and crafts and
Wow.
things out there.
Really?
So during the, if it wasn't a pandemic, it would pack, right?
Yeah,
And then don't forget a yard sale.
Right.
yeah.
You can make money. There's no telling how much stuff you have in your house that you don't need, that you can go ahead and quickly liquidate and get you $100.
Yeah.
And, and just, cleaning house and getting rid of stuff.
But you know what we all just described right here? With that $1,200? Start a business.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, you named it, $200 for a cricket machine. You said we're gonna go and pay for, give me a website platform, WordPress. We're gonna go pay $7.99 a month right there to get that hosting. Then you said, oh, well now I need a website to let people know that I do this Uber driving, right? Because you already got a car and you got seed money for gas. Then you go and file on the LLC, and guess what? You take up loss for the first 5 years, right? Because you started your business during the pandemic and you recouped that tax benefit. Yeah. And you did it all off $1,200.
Yeah.
See that? Boom. Now you just reinvented yourself in the pandemic.
Why you still got your regular job now? Don't quit your job.
Right, yeah, don't quit your job, yeah.
Streams of income.
That's right. They gonna keep that.
That's what should have happened, But those is all great choices. Those are all great ideas there. I didn't really see anything. I guess would have been I tell you what's a real cool business somebody to do. Just talking to people. People
Like
yeah, just talking to people. Let people talk their ideas out to you. It's crazy how much people need that,
Yeah.
Because what do if they don't have a college degree or they don't have the friendships or the networks to go and express their ideas with someone, the other option that you have to do is you have to pay someone to talk to them. And people capitalize it out there. You could do that right at the house. Like, let me just call you up. Can I get 30 minutes?
Yeah, can I shout out being a consultant too?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize the skill set. Like, I'm gonna say, TJ, you could probably be a barber consultant. And anybody who is interested in setting up their business, stuff like that, you could charge them, for your knowledge, just your knowledge of running your own business as a barber. You running your own podcast. You can actually be the consultant, and people, they bring you in to talk to the group $25 an hour, just talking about your experience and what, the do's and don'ts. And
Book. You got a book now. Look at you. You're adding that clout to yourself.
Yeah. Can I shout out Ms. Tucker again?
There it is. Go ahead. Tell my mom what she
Ms.
said.
Tucker, she talked about stash.
Yes.
She said it's a good way to start investing with as low as $5.
Yeah.
And that you can also invest the money for your children until age 18, and the money goes to them.
Yeah.
She said it also has a card that wherever you shop, you will invest in stock of your choice. And then she also talked about what you were talking about, which is the business. And she took $25, purchased beads, strings, and started a waist bead business and made money. And she also invested $28 for plywood and made yoni steams for $299.
Yeah, my wood guy. Work with my guy. Good job, mama.
She invested $17 and started wholesaling. This is what I did during the pandemic. And then she said she also worked for Stash.
Yep.
So she got streams of income.
As you see, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
So,
Nice,
she definitely was on it. But I tell you guys, man, this financial episode is needed though. You guys are like so like smart, like with your money. Like, what experiences do you think over your lifetime, got you to a point? You know what it was for me? You know what it was for me really one time?
Well,
I got stuck in Tennessee with no money, and one day I said, you know what?
never be wrong again.
Never be broke again.
Mm.
You know how I got that? I hitched a ride.
Man.
You hitched a ride from Tennessee.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Was it one person or you just went from
One ride.
different?
One ride, one ride. That's right. But I'll tell you that story later, guys. We're looking forward to my documentary, right?
You exactly what happened to me. I think I was 18 years old. I went to Atlanta. I stayed out in Atlanta. I went there and I was gonna move to College Park, you know, I had a dream of going to school at, Georgia Tech, you
Yeah.
know, so I ended up going down there, didn't like the vibe, didn't like the feel, it wasn't me. And, came back, I had quit the job before I went, came back, I was flat broke, didn't have anything in the refrigerator, I was hungry. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could have went to family and got food,
Right.
but I was hungry, and I
Right.
said, God, if you ever get me out of this,
Yeah.
I'll never be broke again.
Right. Yeah.
I'll make better decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what done it for me.
Yeah.
You know, getting down to the bottom where you don't have a dime.
That's it.
You know, like the guy that owns Amazon,
Yeah.
he quit his job and sold books out of his garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. Amazon is baby.
Yeah.
I think it was like 15 years before he actually made a profit from Amazon. I think it was a
Probably.
long time
Yeah.
for, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But like he said, you know, that's what having me was hungry.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I mean, I literally didn't have any food. I'm talking about refrigerator was empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, another thing with investing or, well, financial stability is you have to learn to make sacrifices. You have to learn what is really needed versus what you really want. Sometimes we just throw away money.
All the time.
And I can tell you, I was that person before until I met TJ. And it was like, you know, I was like, oh, that just cost $1, it doesn't matter. And he's like, $1? You could have had that dollar in your pocket, that dollar is something. So, you know, every penny counts. And if you look at everything you own as it has value,
Yeah.
then it will have value.
Right.
Because if you're throwing away things like, oh, that's nothing, it don't matter, I get another one. You're throwing away your money.
Right.
Did you really need to buy that if you're just gonna throw it away?
I'll tell you what happened. I'm just sharing with you. It was a dustpan. We was moving. You know, we had a dustpan, and you know the kind that you just hold and you sweep when you have been down. And one of the kids was playing with it. They was about to break. And I was like, put that dustpan out. She said, oh, they can play with it, just $1. I looked down and said, what? Just $1? So you just got money to throw away to go buy. You got a dustpan that works good.
Yeah.
You know you gotta have one, so you just go buy another one. Every time it costs $1, you just go buy another
Wow.
dustpan. I'm like, no.
Then you got something to sweep up with that dustpan.
Put that dustpan in. Now you gotta go buy, and then when you go to Walmart to buy a dustpan, you gonna buy something else. You're not just gonna go there and get one thing.
Stacey, what you said really resonates with me. I've been blessed my whole life. I have not ever been hungry, but maybe a little bit in college.
You're strong in college, yeah.
Ramen in college, but for the most part, I've always had, you know, enough money to get the things that I want and whatnot. And I think as I look back on things, how much money I threw away.
Yeah.
How much money just streamed through my hands because I had it. And I didn't think about it in a long-term sense, you know, in an investment sense. And, you know, how much more could I have that could also benefit, you know, my extended family, my friends and stuff like that. But I just wasn't thinking along those lines, you know, as a young person. You know, I made very well, you know, in the military and even in retirement. And if you want to retire in 20 years, the military is an option. Not for everybody, but
That's rare.
you know, you go get your pension. So I think about just the money just flew out of my hands, and I can never get it back.
Yeah.
So now I'm very conscious of. I wouldn't say I sacrifice. I make deliberate choices and decisions about what I buy. You know, I'm not gonna buy a brand new car. I don't need a new car. I get a used car. You know, instead. I don't have to keep up with the Joneses.
Oh,
I don't
check it out like
need to-
that.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't need the latest and greatest. And luckily, growing up, I was never the kid. I remember being at Sam's, 7th, 8th grade. Everybody had like the latest, you know, tennis shoe or whatever. And I busted up in there with some British Knights, and they were looking at me like, who? So, because that was my mentality. I didn't want to be like everybody else. So I think if more people maybe thought along those lines, they probably had a little more money in their pocket. And really start early.
And
Start early.
also like TJ was saying earlier, like you really, if you work for it, you appreciate it more. That's kind of what happened for me. I was in high school. I was working at Buffalo Seafood.
Hey.
So I used to work there every weekend. The first time I ever had a cell phone, I didn't get a cell phone until I was in the 10th grade. You remember it was like, we call it the egg phone, the little flip phone back
Oh,
then?
man, that LG
Yep,
probably.
yep. So that was the first phone I ever had. and I just had to work for it. When I got my first car, I had to work for it. I got my first car when I was in college, and my dad always told me, he said, you know, two things that I remember he told me. Well, he told me a lot, but he was like, he said, if you work for it, you're gonna appreciate it more because you're not gonna want to just throw it away. You want to treat it any kind of way because you had to pay for it. And then he always told us, you know, a fool and his money will soon part.
Yeah.
So if you just careless with your money, it's just gonna go away. So you're gonna lose it so quickly. And I remember in college, you know, we get those.
Did you call me fool?
Oh no.
I mean, you're right here. I'm watching y'all. But you're right,
Yeah, freshman year when we was getting those refund checks, you know, I just, you know, I figured out a way to make it stretch throughout the semester, but you know, freshman year you want to go have fun, so you want to go party and different things like that, but I still tried to make my money stretch because I knew that was it at the time because I didn't have a job my freshman year till like my second semester, my freshman year. But you know, just when you work for something, you really want to appreciate it. You really appreciate it more because you know nobody's just gonna give you anything. So that's how I feel like.
Can we expound on the college edition right here? Okay, for you young people that don't know any better, we know you're gonna go and get your school loan, right? Fill out your FAFSA, and then you're gonna get that Pell Grant. You're gonna get that school loan and all that good stuff. But a school loan means you got to pay it back.
Yeah.
So, but during school, you're gonna get maybe a little check,
Yeah.
and it'll be a line at the financial aid office trying to get that check. They probably break
I call it
deposit now, right?
daily.
They
I
break
call it
deposit.
daily.
Yep.
So-
I was calling everything. I always
So
call.
if you're in high school right now, beware of the school loan and getting that refund check. If you do get that refund check, put some aside for a rainy day. Don't spend all your money. It's gonna be real
Right.
tempting. Don't do it. Don't get that credit card like Stacey's talking about. Don't do it. You don't need it.
You know, most,
It-
not that I
If
tell
you
you, probably gonna spend on
do,
some
make sure
liquor.
you manage.
Yeah. Even to this day, I mean, like, I still won't get a credit card.
Mm.
No.
I'm like, I'm not finna borrow money to buy a shirt,
Also,
you know, and pay you back double and that. I just won't, you know.
you need to, this is something I drill in our son head, and he listened little, but coming from my, you know, experience with the student loans and things like that, because even when they give, I went to HBCU first year,
Hey.
so it was a little expensive. Yeah, so I
I
had a
also been proud of
scholarship.
you.
I had a scholarship, but you know, it didn't cover it all, so I had to take out a loan. And you know, that loan carries with you until it's paid off, and you know, interest and everything. And so I drilled it into him during his senior year. Apply for scholarships. I don't care if you don't think you're gonna get it. Apply. I don't care if it's $50. I don't care if it's $100. Apply, because it's free money
Right.
out here for
Yeah.
kids. And you know, they get tax write-offs, so they're trying to give you that money.
Right.
If you can get it, because the last thing you want to do is to come out of college and I know some people owe $100,000 in debt, you know, and they're not gonna pay that off.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
they're talking about, on the political side, forgiving like $50,000,
That
I
would be
guess,
wonderful
in
for
student loan
student
debt.
people. What about people that pay?
So all this new stimulus.
Shot in the side.
I know, right?
That's what that new stimulus.
The new bill is going through, the Biden's plan. And it's like 1.9 trillion, I think, I don't know if it's in that one, but they're talking about it separately though, as, you know, loan forgiveness. So it might be separate from that 1.9 trillion.
I would hope so.
But, I know it would help a whole lot of people.
And see, for me, I remember like I didn't really think about it back then. I was just like, man, this is money I'm getting right now. I didn't think about long term, like having to pay this money back. So sometimes I remember, you know, taking out more than I needed just because I wanted a little extra in my pocket.
Security.
And I was like, man, I'm just like living in the moment. I'm in school. I need this money to kind of last me throughout the semester, not knowing that long term, like 6 months after,
Yep.
when it's time to pay it back. So
Hey.
it was rough. So I ended up, you know, when I first graduated, 6 months after I graduated, I went through Sallie Mae, and my first loan was maybe like $500 a month, and I I couldn't really afford it, so I ended up getting, 2 jobs. And after a while, I was able to, once I built my credit up, I got it, went through the bank and got it refinanced
Yeah.
and cut my payment in half.
Right.
But if you don't have to take out those loans, don't do it.
No.
And don't just do it to have money in your pocket, because you still got to pay that money back.
If you have the option to commute.
I stayed on campus.
Tech school too, guys. You don't
Yeah.
have to go to
Yeah, I was about to
a
say, even up here,
Get a
at
trade certificate, yes.
even up here at USC Union, you can go there basically free. Or if not there, you can go to Spartanburg Tech School and all that, you can just go free.
Spartanburg Community
Yeah.
College is up
Yeah.
there.
I see I'm old school, I said Spartanburg Tech. That's where one when I went there, when Spartanburg Community College. Yeah.
It went from a tech to the community. Okay.
It went from just Spartanburg Tech to Spartanburg Community College. But we
But
also have one in Union now.
Yeah,
that
We
you
do
go
that.
to, yeah.
it's on 176.
Oh, so we do have that.
You got that.
Isaac McKissick.
There it is.
Yeah, and it's not, I'm telling you, college, it's those loans. You gotta be careful what you take out. You gotta look at, it's better to be able to go into stay in state, and if you're county residents, there are two different payments, whether you live in Union, and if you want to, get your first 2 years here. You just about get free, but don't get the associates now. Don't graduate with an associate's degree. They got they're going because now you're gonna cut yourself out of life scholarship because now you have a degree. If you get those credits, but just don't get that degree unless you're gonna stop there. Now, if you're gonna stop there, take your associates. But if you just gonna get associates, just to say you have associates,
Right.
you're gonna cut yourself out of it because now it's a different payment for a person who's a college graduate.
Right.
So you consider a college graduate because you got your associates.
Yeah. And they need that.
That's
Yeah.
really good information. I don't think a lot of young people know that.
No.
I didn't know that until I did it.
Yeah.
That's what I found out. I graduated a community. Well, I went to USC Union after I left Benedict. That's where I went, and
Let's go Tigers.
and I got my associates. And then I was like, well, I'm going to upstate. I'm going to transfer to UC upstate. And when I did, it was like I think the Pell one of those.
What
They
town,
like
life scholarship?
my life. I couldn't get it.
Mhm.
And it was, that was the money I needed. And it was like, wow, I didn't know, I was considered a college graduate, even though I was transferring from USC Union to Upstate.
Right.
But I graduated, so.
Do you guys believe that financial freedom and fitness comes along with a risk? Do you think those go correlated together?
It's a risk worth taking.
It's a risk worth taking, right?
Yeah.
To try to get to that point, to establish good credit. We talked about credit. We talked about student loans. We talked about residual income. We talked about coming up with new ideas, reinventing yourself. We even talked about the money that the government gave us. Where do we go from here, though? Like,
Well,
where do we go?
J-Rock brought up a point on here earlier about wills, insurance.
Oh yeah.
And, that's where you also have to think about your finance, because you can leave family in debt. You can leave them in a bond, if it happens, people pass, and they have no insurance. And then family's like, how are we gonna pay for this?
And then when they do have insurance, it especially hurts the black community. Anybody know me, know I'm big on insurance. When you have, what they used to have policies, they called them N-word policies. N-word policies, and they were the $5,000 policy, the $10,000 whole life. No matter how you get it today, no matter how long you live, you're always gonna be able to get that $10,000.
Right.
Now, then you have what they call term life policies. Term life policies say, well, what would it take for my family to be okay in case I die, or your child, or anybody in your family die? You have what you call a term life policy. You can say, well, listen, I'm gonna get this when you're 19 years old, or you just got married, you're 24, and you decide, look, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get a $250,000 insurance policy on either one of us. She got that, I got that. Just so happen, and if somebody died, you leaving your kids in a better state. Where we all been to many funerals, but most of the time they got those whole life policies. They're about $10,000, and you call the funeral home guy up, and guess what he's gonna charge you? $10,000. So now you just left. You're grieving. You just lost your parent or whoever you're grieving.
Yeah.
You definitely don't want to go to work, but you got to go because sometimes they don't have enough to cover that. But that's something financially, that's where we fall behind at,
Yeah.
because we're not educated on insurance
Right.
and what it's for. You know, you should at least have enough to pay off your home
Yeah.
and buy a home.
Yeah.
Buy a home. Now you're leaving your children. I think Biden put it up in there where they gonna start start trying to help people become more homeowners because you put people in the projects.
15K, I think.
Yeah, you put them in the projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15K. And when you put people in the project, you let them stay there and the kids there, and they don't have nothing. And then when you pass away, you did not leave them anything.
Yeah.
You know, and it's systemic racism that's been done.
Yeah.
And we thought that they would help him, but they actually are hurting you.
Yep.
You know, and it's on both sides, Republican and Democrat.
Yeah.
Neither one of them cared enough. So that's
One
so
thing
get
I
the
would
insurance
add to
process.
that too is sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and we won't work together.
Yeah.
And I say this as, say, family members won't work together to say buy a duplex, right? So if you buy a duplex, you're paying that one bill, you're paying that one time. And now, instead of my kids having to go and rent something somewhere else, they can stay in the house
Yep.
next door. We both got our own house, our own space.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters could do that. Instead of sending your kid off, say they go to school on the corner or whatever, and they stay in the dorm or something like that, you know what? Get them a little house out back, that's the dorm. Stay in the dorm back there, and now
Good
they've
point.
learned some independence, they've learned how to take care, you know, you gotta pay this light bill, you gotta pay this, but they still right there in your property. And what I think it is that generational cultural thing, all the stuff that's happened to black people specifically, we don't think along those lines. Other cultures do it all the time.
Yeah.
They have multi-generational houses,
Mhm.
or estates, and the word of the day is estate, by the way. Have estates, so you know, if you have 4 or 5 acres that you own, that's enough land for everybody to have something on that land in your family. And now you have an estate. That's what white people do. That's what a lot of people do.
A lot of people
And
do.
we don't have that. And guess what? If something happens to you, Stacy, now you can leave your estate to your children. And then you want to make sure it's paid off free and clear, so it doesn't go into probate.
That's right. What a will. That's what you need your will.
That's why you need your will.
Mhm.
You know, and everything is free and clear. You got the deed in your name and your family, and it's handed down by will and testament.
Remainder man.
Right. So having these conversations, I think, is important. You know, my parents are older. My parents are 75 and 66. Have the conversation with your parents about what they want for their end of life. It's a hard thing to talk about, but I'd rather know, what do you want for you? What do you want to see for you? Because it's going to cost money, right? You talk about having a funeral. If their policy isn't set up, you know, to do the right thing, to pay stuff off. And even though I'm younger than my parents, of course,
Right.
if something happened to me, they ain't got to worry about anything. So I set it up so that all of that money would go to my parents. Essentially.
Yeah.
And
Same
my-
with
and
my
my
brothers.
sisters.
Same with my
And my
brothers. I give it all to my brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. But no, guys, that life insurance is like key. So what is it really? Do we really need to rely on the schools to provide this information, or is it something that
You like you said, we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
We should have these talks. We should teach this stuff, you know, and look at, even I remember the song TLC.
Don't go check
They
the world.
didn't write this stuff. They didn't write their music. You know, a lot of times they didn't write it. It was broadcasting. What was the song? I don't want no scrub. Living in your mama's on the padded side of your best friend, right? Living in your mama's basement. That's a scrub. That wasn't no scrub. That was financial stability.
Thank you.
You know something?
We needed that.
I just want to say,
We needed
I'm
that.
retired, I'm single, I don't have any children, but I stay with my parents. And I could very well go and get a whole nother mortgage and all that good stuff. But I did the math, and I was like, Mom, I love you, I'm staying right here.
They're gonna need you there. You know what I mean?
And yeah, that's something that we have, that's something our community needs to break out of. We need to discuss and teach our children. It's okay to live together. It's okay to live beside each other. It's okay to share property and and make it an estate.
Right.
You know, it's okay to do those things, but like you said, we're so busy saying, oh, you stay with someone, you know, you're broke, you don't have this, you don't have that. Guess what? The person that has the best cars and these houses and all these other things, that's what they have. What else do they have behind it? Because that's not making you money, that's making someone else money.
Let me tell you something, if, you know, as a single person, if in a pandemic, and I was living by myself, I would be very lonely. Right?
Yeah, that'll go to you can go into depression.
Right, you go into a depression, and there's a price associated with that, right? Your mental and physical health, you know, are sacrificed because, you know, financially you feel like, well, I gotta be out on my own, I gotta have all this stuff and things, and it really is it's just a lot. It's a
You know,
lot.
I had a coworker, she used to have a coworker, she doesn't work anymore. But I remember she said one time before that I think she was probably in her 30s. She said her and her fiance, they moved back in with her parents just to save money. She said, the only thing her parents really asked them to do is just keep the house clean and everything. Other than that, you know, they welcome them back in to, you know, stay with them, you know, make some money and stay on their feet. So like you said, it's definitely something like, with our culture, like, you know, you see it all the time online. Like, if you staying at home with your family and stuff like that, you mean, like, why? Like, why is our mindset that way anyway? Like, to where
It's an agenda, it's the music, it's a lot. I mean, I was thinking this girl, they did an interview from, they was doing a research at Upstate, and I had a girl come in, she said she was looking for black businesses. She wanted to interview, and she was like, did you have anybody, you know, I want to prove that there's no such thing as systemic racism, or there is. Did you have anybody holding you down? You own your own shop. First thing she asked me was, I see you got jerseys up on your wall. Would you play football? I said, no, I'm not football. You know, I did not go to college playing football. That's how she thought I obtained my property and stuff. And then too, I was like, well, at that time, if you look at TV, at 12 o'clock when the news go off, at 12:30, you're gonna see Victor Newman. You're gonna see this your whole life. You're gonna see this guy with a suit on. He's intelligent. Okay, but then when you turn about 5, 6 o'clock a day, you're gonna see the news and they're gonna throw brother's face on them.
Right.
You know, but just that, the soap operas in itself. Everybody's on their rich, everybody on their own property, they were busy, they wore suits and ties.
Yep.
Okay, us, we got blunts and liquor bottles in our hands.
And grills.
And grills. You know what I'm saying? Blunts, liquor bottles, and grills. But you ain't got nothing to celebrate. You know? And that's the thing, that's not financial literacy. And it's instilled in you to be broke.
Yep.
It's instilled in you to go buy, look like you're rich. You got 10,000, I think Gucci and who else? Gucci and Jeezy.
Yep.
He said, I got $10,000 worth of clothes on me. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard somebody say. And people like, come on.
I tell you.
You just showed me how much money you blew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just showed me how ignorant you was when you said, but you're targeting a certain people.
Yeah.
You're targeting our kids, you're targeting our youth.
Yeah.
Now you never see Victor Newman say that,
Right.
you know, but see that was instilled in you.
Yeah.
That was instilled in you. And I think it was one day she died. She was like, I would never play a character where I was degrading people. You know, but and I think she never played that part. But back to the financial thing, it goes. It wasn't Cicely. It was the one that died a year before Cicely. She died. She was a beautiful lady. She never took a role that was degrading, even though they told her she had to. But that happens to us,
No.
and that's what happened. When I said that's when you see the Victor Newmans, you see that. Then when it comes to us,
Yep.
what you see?
No.
What are we talking? So we gotta get out of that. So that I learned alone that $40 bottle of hen,
Yep.
that $20 sack of weed, and all that. I was like, look at it, I'm gonna stop blowing that money.
Yep.
You know, that's just a waste.
Yep.
And killing me, killing myself, go out, hit somebody drunk driving, kill somebody. It's just all mentality. There's nothing to brag about, nothing to celebrate, and it's gonna keep you broke if you know in that situation.
I tell you, just to chime in on that mentality that you said though. Famous black psychologist Naheem Akbar did a study on why from slavery and why African Americans deem success as having the jewelry and the clothes and being entertained and being funny. Like it really was some profounding work that I read there. So Naheem Akbar, if you guys ever want to read that, like he got tons of studies. I gotta go out into it, but it would definitely correlate some things for you, you know, based off that mindset thing. But great point though, you're right.
You know, I saw it somewhere that our culture, we take name brand, new car, flashy items as social status.
Mhm.
We take that and we put we feel like if we have those things that places us in a certain social status,
Yep.
when in actuality, there's a lot of very wealthy people
Mhm.
who you would look at and you would not know it.
Mhm.
You would look at their cars, you would not know it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, they do not invest in those things that don't make them money.
Yeah.
Burning guns.
Yeah.
You know, I had this conversation last week. I was like, isn't it? And I'm not trying to knock music artists because all of them don't do it. It's like, it's why is it that like it's weird that like you see a music artist when they finally break through, it's like the first thing they do is go buy new jewelry. It's like they want to show that they're a rapper and they made. It's like why do they have to do that? And it's not all of them, but some of them, a good bit of them. Like
It's part
That's
of
the only way they gonna get on
it's
radio.
like they have to show that prove that they're a rapper. They had the ball and they're like wow.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah,
It's deeper than that. It's like why you think Future talk about Percocet when he don't even drink or smoke.
Yeah.
It's deeper than if they don't talk about that, they can't be put on. That's the difference. That's when I was saying you got Victor Newman, and then you see the difference, and then you see what your artists are to do and how they are to act.
Yeah. You gotta be able to see yourself in that position. If you never see yourself, it's always a negative stereotype or something that's being reinforced that you would never choose for yourself. You know, your rational mind would not choose to spend $10,000 on a Gucci sweatsuit.
Like, why?
Why would I do that?
But if you see that, like they probably like you don't see yourself, yeah.
But you know, on that verses, when he said he spent that much on his clothes, the other artist said, I spent that on
Real estate.
Real estate.
So he's like, I'm making more than what you put on your clothes because, you know, I'm making money off of what I put my money into.
Mhm.
We have that
Investment,
twisted
But
mindset.
it was scary to kind of see how, you know, when you look at comments, some people were like, they were cheering for Gucci because he made that comment, but the other people were with Jesus
Yeah.
because he's like, he invested in, he made the right investment, but other people like, I'm with Gucci
Yeah.
because, you know, he spent all, like, it just shows you the mindset that some of our people
There
have.
you go again, like you said, if you can't see yourself in that position, but it goes deeper because the radio stations, the music industries, they're owned by the major broadcasting systems. CBS, Fox, all that, or NBC, they're owned by them, and they control what plays on the radio because the way that's set up is that's the emergency. In case of those emergency, you got to be able to go through those revenues. So the government funds them places. They fund them, and then they choose what's played on the radio. So if you go in there talking with some knowledge, your music never gonna touch the radio. You know, I have seen artists say that they bring music and they're like, play this, I can't play that. But if you go talk about some nonsense, oh, they'll play you all, they'll pump it in your head.
I ain't heard a rap song that said get good credit. You
No.
I have not heard any rappers talk about credit.
Investment.
Talk about
Stocks, nah.
dropping the clips. You
Yeah.
know, you try to rob them, I'm gonna shoot you with every bullet I got. They talk about that.
I mean,
You never heard of Victor Newman talk about that.
Jay-Z. Jay-Z did, you know, along the way, I would say Jay-Z
Right.
did become that artist, but it
He
took
still
for
do the
him.
same thing though. To me,
I'm not saying he
talk.
don't, but it
Yeah.
took for him to own his own record label to get that out there because he did have a song about, you know, investing and how to, you know, stop spending money and doing dumb, you know, things. But you don't get that very often. You get Gucci and all this other stuff about these designer clothes and, you know, that doesn't define you. That's the problem. We think that
And they're not
defines us.
even black owned. They're
No,
not even.
Gucci
Your
They
community.
did the blackface thing last year, Gucci did, and it was crazy to me when we see artists say we're gonna boycott Gucci for 3 months, and then they say no, right after that, they go back to wearing it again.
Addicted.
I'm just like, why not? It's like, imagine if they did that to, you know, what clothing of like black owned business, or like any small business, why not wear it instead of like a Gucci or Louis Vuitton?
Yeah.
Imagine what kind of impact they would have. If they
Go
were
to
that
Walmart, and buy a new jeans and keep that money in your pocket.
Exactly.
And start you look ugly, you know. Like,
But for us, I think
yeah.
we're mature enough to where we can, you know, tell like dissect them, okay, we don't have to live like this. It's a certain segment that when they see it, they believe and they think that's how you're supposed to live.
Or he ain't got it because he don't got the belt, or he ain't got the shoes.
Yeah, or you ain't looking
Remember,
flashy.
guys, celebrities' jobs are to stay famous. Okay,
Yeah.
so just remember that when you buy into that, you're keeping them famous. You're paying their bills. So just remember that they're business people as well.
And most of the time they're puppets, really. They're business people, but behind the whole thing,
Yeah.
who do you think allowed them? Really think about it. Who do you think allowed Future to say Percocet? What did it say on Percocets at?
The pharmacy.
Okay, now you can find them anywhere in your grandma's cabinet.
Big
So
pharma.
you gonna tell your grandma, you go to the doctor, make him write you some Percocet. So it's so deep.
Yeah.
I better be careful what I'm talking about.
How does he know about our future connection? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of
Better
it
chill.
goes deeper because a lot of those companies, you know, they're not looking at us and saying, oh, we want to help them grow. They're saying they want to make more money.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's their stand. That's what they're doing. But you have a choice if you want to help them make more money or if you want to try to make money yourself. And I can promise you, unless you're a celebrity and you're giving those clothes for free so that you can promote those items and those clothing, unless you're giving those things for free, you're not gonna make money by wearing designer or having a jewelry or, you know, grills or whatever it is. You know, these expensive, lavish things will not make you money unless you're promoting it and you're getting it for free.
Do people buy other people's grills though? Are they resellable? Like, do people like do people like send me a grill, bro? Can you resell a grill?
Anything that can take money out of your pocket to keep a certain type of people in a certain status, they'll promote it.
And you
They're
know,
promoting anything. It ain't so much. It might be if I can get this certain particular people or lower class, don't care what color you are. If I get the lower class to stay where they at and just pump me money and all that, that's what happens.
You know, Black History Month, what you just said is from my research and the things I've been reading, you know, at the tail end of Dr. King's mission, he started focusing on poverty, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people suspect that because he was expanding the tent beyond black people to include white people, Asian, you know, Latino, everybody who's poor.
yeah.
Well, now you have almost like a class warfare, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of folks feel like, well, we got to get rid of him because he's about to turn things upside down.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
about to do a new world order, and if all these people will follow him, who else will follow him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I think that you know, that whole 98%, you know, Occupy 98, was it Occupy?
I think so.
Yeah, and basically people were talking about a small subset of people have all the money,
Oh, 2%.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
2%,
small, and you think about, I think someone did an analogy about how much time it would take to spend like $1 billion or something like that. And they say like 17,000 years or something for you to spend all that money, because that money keeps making money.
Yeah.
They never stop making, they just put $1 billion and it's always gonna make money.
Boom.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the
Ain't no
have
going
and the
back.
have.
I'll tell you what's
You
gonna
can't
get,
buy that many tangible things.
I'll tell you what's gonna,
You get bored.
unless you spend your money wisely, save, invest, and all those things. What will go fast is that tax refund. That's gonna come up, and I know some people get $10,000 on the tax refund. They could invest that into some very
Might have
good
some
things.
Pump that.
I
Yeah,
talk about
pour
some
it.
land and build some
Yeah, that's-
houses, please.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Please, y'all, when you get that 10 grand, tell them what they can do with that 10 grand instead of
Yeah.
running to.
That's a down payment on a house.
House.
That's
So
most
easy
of
to
it.
down.
Let's start with the land first. So a lot of times people don't realize, get you some land, get it now. Even if you decide you don't want to put a house on there or whatever, get the land now. It is an investment, it's not gonna go away, it's gonna appreciate, which means gain in value.
There's only so much grass out here, guys.
Right, so get you a nice plot of land, go in with your family and friends, right, and say, look, we're gonna buy this 5 acres. and do it now. And then, you know, y'all come together again and say, we're gonna put 3 houses over here. Well, one of us is gonna live in the house, cause I can't afford to live somewhere else or whatever. And then the other ones, we're gonna rent them out and we're gonna split the money. It's all kinds of ways to do that type of stuff. And what's great about it is, there's not a lot of, what, you know, for a real estate license, you gotta take classes and go to school, right? For a small business owner, you might need to take classes, understand business and different things. But if you wanted to own real estate and be a landlord, it's very easy entry to do that. Yeah, do some research, but it's not something that would prevent you from doing it. You know, there's nothing else. If you get 10,000, you know, from any tax,
Yeah.
tell
And
it
you gonna get 10,000 next year.
I
Like,
need
you
to
still get it.
buy
For
some
how
land.
many years? About 18?
You
I mean, do
keep
they keep getting it?
getting, but they want straight to the car lot. They want straight to the car lot. Get the car. You know, even at that, and when you spend, if you go buy the land, like she said, you go buy the land. Okay, but guess what? You didn't lose your money. You still got that, and it's gonna turn into maybe 15,000 before you know it. And if you go put it down on the house. So next year, when this time come around, you say, look, I'm getting another 10 grand. I just bought a house this year. My payments with the interest rate so low, your payment may be what, $450 a month, $500 a month.
Yeah,
You can say, I'm gonna take $5, I'm gonna pay my payment for the whole year.
yeah.
So now every check I get stays in my pocket.
Yeah, take
You know,
it.
I just, cause I knocked out my house payment.
Right.
Yeah.
For 18 years and 15 years,
Yeah.
your house paid off by the time that baby turns 18.
Oh,
It's paid off, so
Oh.
now you, rest of your life you live it rent free.
if you paid your mortgage for a year off your taxes, right there, boom, and then use your paycheck and send an additional $200, I wonder how many years you would cut down.
Man, you were cutting it in
Oh,
half. You, a
okay.
15-year old,
At
yeah.
least 7 years.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Keep doing
Yeah.
that, it knocks it down.
That'd be a
That's one of the tools I use.
A house or 7 cars, which one you want to do? What ends up happening? People go buy a new car, by October, they picking that car back up.
yeah.
So
yeah.
yo, just to make it plain in numbers, right? So we know right now, if you were to go and purchase a vehicle, say $20,000, and you drive it off the lot, and you drive it for, let's say 30 days, right? You think you're gonna get $20,000 back because you changed your mind? Nope.
Not even if it's brand new.
If you
Not
go
even
get it,
brand new.
if
So
you-
they're gonna, the same dealer that you try to take it back to is gonna say, oh, well, I can give you maybe 15 for it. You just
Yeah.
lost $5,000.
Yeah, depreciation.
Yeah.
Think about it like that, people. Really.
Yeah.
As we get ready to wrap this up, I'll let you guys, if you have anything you want to add to this, just any kind of like anything like one more piece of financial advice before we close out this episode.
Mine is, you have to spend money to make money.
That's good.
Mine is, if you do decide to get a credit card, just get one and use it wisely to build your credit. You don't need 2, 3, 4, 5. Just get one and use that to build your credit.
For me, I would just say, starting out, just the self-investment is something I've learned. Self-investment is the best investment you can make. Just pour into yourself. Because if you don't invest in yourself, you can't expect nobody else to. Whether read up, read, studying, your research on whatever it is you want to do, and then just, like you said, buy something that'll appreciate, don't buy liabilities.
I say invest in the things that's gonna bring you return. Don't get caught up in trying to keep up with the Joneses, like I said. And sometimes those people who are down at the bottom of poverty, you have the greatest leverage to bring yourself up with those refunds and things like that. So really take that into consideration. And those are the people who probably do need to make some sacrifices because the things you're putting your money into is not bringing your money back. So that would be my advice.
My thing would be investing in yourself, piggybacking off everything they said. I agree with everything they said. What I would do, examine your inner self, and you find out, I speak on a spiritual sense and I can't get away from that. That's just me. It may not work for you, but for me, spiritually, invest in your own well-being, and when you find yourself doing it right spiritually, you are able to make better decisions and pay yourself. Pay yourself first. When you get paid, put something away that's going to be able to feed you, to have you some security. I'm just speaking on a secular level, some security. Pay yourself. You don't, every dollar you get don't have to go back out your hand in 2 minutes.
There was a question on here. Is it okay we ask?
Go ahead. Who was it by?
Ms. Tucker said, what's your advice for the single parent that has 5 children, 2 of them in college, the rest in high school and elementary, with a $45,000 annual income? How can that single parent invest today with living expenses and children?
That's a challenging question.
With you being a single parent, you can get some help with that college, with some grants and things. Being a single parent, living in Union, making $45,000 a year, you might can get a decent house, and you probably can do a side job and incorporate those children to be your employees to help you out.
You stole it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, hey, that's some ching-ching to me.
Yeah.
You gonna get that 10 grand every year. You put those kids, invest in a small business, and be able to roll off that.
There we go. That's it. Yeah, no, I agree with all of that too. Like, I mean, really, truly, the best investment you have is the children that you will have. So anyone that is in that situation, and you may not have 5 kids, and your kids may not be in college or high school, but find the resources for yourself. In this case, save as much as you can, and just stay open to opportunities. Stay open to opportunities. A lot of people feel they close off the things. Stay open to opportunities.
And I would say, I think a lot of times people think you can only get grants and assistance when you're in high school and scholarship before you go to college. Even when you're in college, continue to apply for grants and assistance while you're in there. Free money is better.
Yeah.
But if you do have to get that school loan, just like Carlos was talking about, take that extra that you would get from the refund and put part of that back and invest that. So your college kids should be making investments now. And then when they get that job, part of that money they should be putting to the side to pay the loan back, of course. And try not to defer your loans if you can. If you put $20 a month on it, that way the interest stays low. And as quickly as possible, have your college kids pay their loans off after they graduate. As quickly as possible if they can. Oh, and don't forget about loan forgiveness, job forgiveness program, where if you go to maybe a disadvantaged area, if you work for 2-3 years, or if you're a teacher or whatever, or a doctor, whatever your skill set is, they will forgive your loans, and you have to apply for it. But a lot of people choose not to apply for it, so that money is just sitting on the table. So do that research and find out where you get that free money.
And to all the parents out there who have multiple kids, one of the guys when I first got out of business, he told me his accountant told him you're gonna have to do 1 or 2 things.
She said,
No, don't worry about it. I got my money.
oh, okay.
She's not gonna show secret trying to be our guest.
1 or 2 things can happen. He said you're gonna have a bunch of kids, or either you better invest in IRA Roth, or you have a bunch of kids. Kids are actually tax deductible, good rebate, so that's how you can buy your own house, and you can get a good, South Carolina HUD loan. You can get HUD loans. They're very low interest rate.
Don't even take someone's question.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's do that.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you didn't get a chance to watch it live, be sure to check it out on Amazon Music, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Pandora, as well as YouTube, and also on my website, carlosksmith.com. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode once again. Until next week, this is Union It's Time We Talk, Season 2. Thank you for listening.